By the end of this video, you'll understand why you keep manifesting the exact opposite of what you want, even when you're disciplined, self-aware, and doing all the right practices. You'll see the mechanism that turns desire into sabotage. You'll learn how the unconscious assigns meaning to money, love, success, and attention. And you'll walk away with a few simple models you can use to stop repeating the same outcomes under different names. Here's the problem in one line. You think you're chasing a goal, but your psyche is defending a definition. And if you keep doing that, you will keep getting the same life with new decorations. Most people describe this experience like a curse. Every time I try to improve my finances, more bills appear. Every time I try to date intentionally, I end up in the same dynamic. Every time I decide to take my career seriously, I freeze or procrastinate. You can read this as bad luck. You can read it as the universe testing you. Or you can read it in the most psychologically honest way. A part of you is committed to a reality you consciously reject because it learned that reality as the price of belonging and safety. Jung's language for this is simple but sharp. You are not one unified person. You are a small committee, and the loudest member isn't always the wisest one. When you say, "I want money," your conscious mind hears freedom, but the unconscious might hear conflict, shame, danger, or abandonment. When you say, "I want a healthy relationship," your conscious mind hears stability, but the unconscious might hear control, exposure, humiliation, or loss of identity. And the unconscious doesn't argue with you in words. It argues with you in outcomes. It doesn't debate. It produces. It arranges your attention, your impulses, your blind spots, and your choices so that reality keeps matching what it believes is true. So we need a definition, not a mystical one, a psychological one. Manifestation, in this frame, is not bending the universe. It's the way your inner state shapes what you notice, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you avoid, and what you repeatedly recreate. You don't just move toward what you want. You move toward what feels familiar, and what feels familiar is often not what feels good. It's what your nervous system learned to survive. Here's the first mini-model. Call it the two definitions problem. Every desire has two meanings, the conscious definition and the unconscious definition. The conscious definition is what you say you want. The unconscious definition is what your body learned it costs. Money can mean options consciously and stress unconsciously. Love can mean connection consciously and betrayal unconsciously. Visibility can mean opportunity consciously and attack unconsciously. The moment those two definitions disagree, you enter a double bind. You chase the object while your system protects you from the meaning. This is why you can do everything right and still get the opposite. Because your conscious mind can repeat affirmations while your unconscious mind quietly tightens the steering wheel. And it tightens it using emotion. Emotion is not just a feeling. Emotion is a tagging system. It tells the psyche what is safe, what is threatening, what is worth pursuing, and what must be avoided. The unconscious learns through intensity, repetition, and association. One emotionally intense moment can write a definition that lasts for years. Think of a simple example. A person grows up watching money arrive with arguments, panic, and humiliation. Bills on the table, faces tight, voices sharp. The child learns, without deciding to, that money is not neutral. Money is a signal flare that says something bad is coming. Later, as an adult, they consciously want more income. But each time they approach new money, the unconscious reaches for what it thinks money means: tension, chaos, responsibility, exposure. So the person mysteriously overspends, forgets invoices, misses opportunities, picks unstable clients, or creates problems that match the old definition. And then they conclude, more money, more problems, as if it's a law of nature when it's often a law of the psyche. Or take relationships. A person grows up in a home where love is mixed with volatility. Affection arrives and disappears unpredictably. Conflict is normal. Silence is punishment. Betrayal is expected. Consciously, they want a healthy relationship, honesty, safety, respect. But unconsciously, relationship is tagged as danger and loss of control, so they feel bored with stable people. They feel alive with chaotic people. They call anxiety chemistry. They call unpredictability passion. They don't choose this, they reenact it. Jung would call this a complex, an emotional knot that hijacks perception and behavior. And complexes love familiar scripts. That leads us to the second mini-model, the complex loop. It goes like this. Trigger affect story behavior result proof. Something triggers you, often subtly. Your body produces affect, a surge of emotion. Your mind then creates a story to justify that feeling. You behave according to the story, you get a result, and the result becomes proof that the original story was true. This loop is self-sealing. If your affect says love equals danger, your story becomes they're probably going to leave. Your behavior becomes chasing, testing, withdrawing, or controlling, and the result becomes distance. Proof achieved. The complex feels validated. The conscious self feels cursed. Now notice what this implies. The opposite manifestations are not random, they're coherent. They are coherent with a hidden belief. If we want to change the outcome, we don't start with positive thinking. We start with locating the belief that the outcome is loyal to. The question is not, what do I want? The question is, what does my system think this will cost me? This is where shadow work stops being aesthetic and becomes practical. The shadow is not just bad traits. The shadow is everything you had to disown to be loved, safe, or accepted. Sometimes that includes greed, anger, and selfishness. But just as often, it includes power, confidence, desire, sensuality, ambition, and visibility. If you learn that being powerful made you a target, power goes into shadow. If you learn that wanting more made you a burden, desire goes into shadow. If you learn that being seen led to ridicule, visibility goes into shadow. Then when you consciously reach for those things, the shadow rises as resistance, procrastination, confusion, or bad luck. Here's the third mini-model. The approach Avoidance Double Bind. It's the classic pattern where the same object is charged as both reward and threat. Money is reward and threat. Love is reward and threat. Success is reward and threat. Your conscious mind approaches, your unconscious mind avoids. The result is oscillation, bursts of effort followed by collapse. Or a different kind of sabotage. You get close, then create a problem that forces retreat. You don't do it because you're lazy, you do it because you are loyal to survival learning. And survival learning is rarely rational. It's emotional, it's associative, it's often early, but it doesn't have to be childhood. A single humiliating breakup can define intimacy as unsafe. One catastrophic job loss can define stability as fake. One public failure can define visibility as death. Once the definition is written, your psyche will try to keep you aligned with it because misalignment feels like danger. The unconscious prefers familiar pain to unfamiliar freedom. So, what do we do with this? We need a method that speaks the language the unconscious understands, not slogans, not forced optimism. The unconscious responds to evidence, repetition, and new emotional experiences that contradict the old map. It responds to updated associations, and it responds when you can hold tension without immediately discharging it into old behaviors. Here's a practical framework. Call it the definition audit. Step 1. Name the conscious desire with precision, not more money. Be specific. An extra $2,000 a month in stable income, not a better relationship. Be specific. A partner who is consistent, emotionally honest, and respectful. The unconscious loves vagueness, because vagueness lets it fill in the blanks with fear. Precision forces the psyche into the light. Step 2. Identify the unconscious definition. Ask, when I imagine having this, what emotion shows up first? Not what you think, what you feel. Anxiety, guilt, tightness, disgust, pressure. Then ask, what does this thing mean in my body? Money might mean, I'll be responsible for everyone. Love might mean, I'll be trapped. Success might mean, people will envy me. Visibility might mean, I'll be coming. Attacked. Write it down like a sentence. If I get X, then Y happens. That sentence is the hidden contract. Step 3. Locate the origin, but don't get lost there. You're not doing this to blame your parents or your past. You're doing it to find the first time the association was stamped with emotion. I remember opening mail meant panic. I remember love meant walking on eggshells. I remember being noticed meant humiliation. The goal is not to relive it. The goal is to see the logic of the imprint. Step 4. Create a counter-association through micro-evidence. This is where people fail because they try to jump from fear to bliss. The psyche doesn't update through grand fantasies. It updates through consistent, low-stakes proof. If money equals stress, you need experiences of money that equal calm. If relationships equal chaos, you need experiences of closeness that equal safety. This is not about convincing yourself. It's about training your nervous system with new data. Let's make it concrete. Example 1. Money. If your body tightens when you think about earning more, don't start with "I am a money magnet." Start with a money ritual that produces calm. 10 minutes a day, open your bank app, look at the number, breathe slowly, and practice not flinching. Then, do one tiny act of financial order. Categorize one expense, send one invoice, or set one automatic transfer, even if it's small. The point is not the amount. The point is pairing money with steadiness. You are teaching your system. Money can exist without panic. Example 2. Dating. If your system equates love with losing yourself, start with boundaries as affection. Practice saying one honest preference on a date, not a dramatic boundary, a small one. "I'd rather meet earlier. I don't want to rush physical intimacy. I need a day to myself this weekend." Watch what happens in your body. If you feel guilt or fear, that's the imprint speaking. Then watch what happens in reality. Healthy people respect it. Unhealthy people punish it. Either way, you receive data, and data is how you rewire. Example 3. Career and visibility. If being seen feels dangerous, don't start by trying to become famous. Start with controlled exposure. Publish something small. Share one idea. Speak up once in a meeting. Then stay present through the discomfort without undoing the act. Many people sabotage visibility by immediately apologizing, over-explaining, or deleting. That's the avoidant half of the double bind. The practice is to do the act and remain intact afterward. That is how you teach your psyche. Being seen does not equal death. Now I want to introduce a Jungian refinement. The unconscious isn't only fear-based. Sometimes it wants the opposite because there is secondary gain in staying stuck, not conscious gain. Unconscious gain. If you remain broke, you never have to risk outgrowing your family. If you remain single, you never have to risk being truly known. If you remain underestimated at work, you never have to face the pressure of real responsibility. This is the shadow bargain, the suffering that buys you safety. The psyche will defend that bargain until you make it conscious. So here's the question that cuts deep. What do I get to avoid by not having what I say I want? If you don't have the promotion, what do you avoid? Being judged? Being resented? Failing publicly? If you don't have the relationship, what do you avoid? Vulnerability, dependence, the possibility of loss. If you don't have the money, what do you avoid? The guilt of having more than others, the obligation to choose, the exposure of your real desires. When you can name the avoided fear, you can finally negotiate with it instead of being controlled by it. This is the fourth mini-model, the shadow contract. It has 3 parts: the desire, the cost, the bargain. I desire love. The cost is vulnerability. So I bargain by choosing unavailable people, so I can stay in longing without intimacy. Or, I desire success. The cost is visibility. So I bargain by perfecting endlessly and never shipping. The goal is not to shame yourself. The goal is to see the intelligence in the pattern. Every sabotage is a protection. It's just outdated protection. Now we need a short, specific 7-day experiment. Not a vibe, not a philosophy, a measurable practice. Here it is. For the next 7 days, pick one desire category: money, relationships, career, or self-image. Only one. Each day, do this in 10 to 12 minutes. Minute 1-2. Write the conscious desire in one sentence. Specific. I want X. Minute 3-4. Write the first emotion that arises when you imagine having it. No analysis. Just name it. Minute 5-6. Complete this sentence. If I get X, then Y will happen. Let Y be the feared consequence. Minute 7-9. Do one micro-action that contradicts the feared consequence in a low-stakes way. If the fear is money equals chaos, your micro-action is one act of order. If the fear is love equals control, your micro-action is one honest preference. If the fear is visibility equals attack, your micro-action is one small public expression. Minute 10-12. Record the outcome as data. Did anything catastrophic happen? Did you survive the feeling? What did you learn? At the end of 7 days, you'll have something most people never collect: proof that your definitions can change. Not overnight, but they can move. You'll start to see the hidden sentence driving your life. And once you see the sentence, you can rewrite it with experience. One more thing. People often ask, is the unconscious trying to punish me? Usually, no. It's trying to keep you coherent. The psyche hates inner contradiction. If your conscious mind wants expansion and your unconscious mind equates expansion with danger, the psyche resolves the contradiction by preventing expansion. Not because it's evil, because it's loyal to safety. The work is not to defeat your unconscious. The work is to educate it, to show it, patiently, that the world has changed and you have changed. This is why pure positive thinking fails. It doesn't address the emotional meaning. It tries to paint over a complex, and complexes do not dissolve through paint. They dissolve through integration. Integration means you can hold both truths. I want this, and a part of me is afraid of what it means. When you can hold that without collapsing into shame or fantasy, you become the container, and the container is what transforms the content. So if you've been trying to manifest something and you keep getting the opposite, don't conclude that you're broken. Assume you're split. Assume there is a conscious desire and an unconscious definition. Assume there is a shadow bargain. Then do the simplest, most adult thing possible. Bring the bargain into the light, update the definition through tiny proof, and stop treating your outcomes like random weather. Your life is not primarily shaped by what you want. It's shaped by what your nervous system believes is safe to have. Change what safe means, and your reality starts to reorganize itself without you forcing it. If this resonated, like, share, and subscribe.